Welcome to Toss the Titles Down Under Dynasty with your host at Light from the Ben, and with me, as usual, my co-host at FF Doormat. How are you today, Matt?
Mate, I'm doing wonderfully well, as usual. Just had to check I was not on mute because I've been muting myself all week on Teams and trying to talk like a muppet. Going well, mate. Week 11 already. Pretty exciting, but also a little bit sad that we're so far into the season. But yeah, enjoying it. How about you, mate?
Speak for yourself, mate. I've got lots of teams where I'm already looking forward to next season.
I got plenty of them.
Bring on the draft. Jeez. Yeah, but it has gone fast. It always does.
Yeah.
But we've still got including the playoffs. We got football still all the way through till February. So it's still quite a few months. Just the fantasy season. It'll be wrapping up before we know it. How many titles are you going to win this year?
23 drafts. Oh, not. I don't want to be greedy. Just I'm happy with 5 or 6. That's a decent year, I think.
Yeah, we've still week 18 of the season is in the first week of next year. So I mean, there's still quite a bit of football to go.
Yeah, no, there's plenty. It seems like it just started. But yeah, look, any time you can win any title, right, is you've had a good year, I reckon. So, a couple of them I'm going back for, so that they're the ones I'm trying to push in, but who knows?
And that's the beauty of having been in quite a few leagues, right? You don't mind going all in and losing some value on some trades to win now when you've got those other teams where you're kind of rebuilding and kind of works both ways.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, some people do, but you don't want to do the same thing every single league, right? Some you want to go try maybe QBX and go, 0 RB or something, whatever it might be. But yeah, generally you're young in one couple of teams and you're older in a couple of teams, and maybe you're in the middle somewhere else. So it's good to have not all your eggs in one basket. Though I was listening to Matt Warman. I think he was saying he tries to go all in most years. So yeah, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Well, it's easy to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm traveling nicely. I might, and I'm winning. I don't want to, trade for winning our pieces if I'm going okay." But I mean, next season your studs could get hurt, right? I mean, if you've got a really healthy team now, it's probably one of the teams where you kind of want to go in, right? Because you never know how next season's going to be.
Yeah, we don't want to go crazy, right? You're not sending the first for multiple firsts for Derrick Henry or something like that. Whatever it may be. Anyway, look, you just don't sell Jamar Chase for Diggs, something like that. I think there's still win now moves to be made where you can push your chips in and try and make those moves, but not sell out your superstars.
Work between the margins.
Yeah, play harder, play smarter, not harder.
And the news this week: Cooper Kupp going on IR. The way the Rams are traveling, I'll be surprised if we see Cooper Kupp again this season.
Yeah, that's the real kicker, isn't it? IR, might miss 3 or 4 weeks, but 3 and 6. What are they bringing him back for? Unless they can jag a couple of wins, which I doubt playing like they are. They're Stafford, they just look ordinary.
Stafford be back next week because this coming week? Because
I think he's
back up in this week.
Yeah, John Woodford? John Wolford had him in, but I think he's still questionable with that concussion. Right, it was concussion that he missed. You think he'd probably be back, but yeah, even with Stafford, they haven't looked good. It's all ended in tears for the Rams, but they got the chipper, right? They got the Super Bowl, which I'm sure any franchise would probably do the same thing if they were guaranteed a Super Bowl. You do it every time, I reckon.
100%. You know, I mean, how much grace do you think a Super Bowl gets you? Like if you knew that winning the Super Bowl meant you wouldn't be competitive for X amount of years, right? What's the most amount of years you'd take?
Look, I don't know in reality, but like I feel like even if it was 10 years, I'd still choose the guaranteed Super Bowl, I reckon. Because they're just that hard to come. Even as a Pats fan, we've got so many of them. They're so hard to come by in any sport, right? These titles, and specifically like the NFL, when it's all these teams are going to win now, and people just getting Avengers every year. More than a decade.
He's talking about Super Bowls like he was on the team.
What do you mean it wasn't a team? I was there cheering them on. No, but seriously, I think 10 years is I'd be happy with that. Maybe longer, really, because some franchises haven't won it at all. Right? Ask the Bengals how they feel.
Well, there's quite a few teams that haven't won a Super Bowl.
He'd probably double that or triple it, wouldn't you? Like just to win one. So good luck to the Rams. I know some people have been rubbishing him and saying, "Oh, they did it the wrong way, or whatever." Who cares? Just get that ring and happy days.
The Vikings have been in 4 Super Bowls and they've lost all of them.
Yeah, their Bills lost 4 in a row, right? Bengals lost a couple, so yeah, probably you could maybe even double it. What's your take, mate? How many years?
No, I think 10's reasonable.
10.
10.
Nice round number.
But then you've got are you still going to be watching all the games knowing that your team's not going to win? Like, I guess how does that work?
Well, we're fantasy players, right? And then you can just relax too. There's no stress. You're like, oh yeah, I'll watch this. I already played well, but it doesn't matter because I know we're not going to win anyway. I've got 9 years of just relaxing, and my hair probably grows back, and blood pressure goes down.
Right. Well, if they ever made the Super, if they made the Super Bowl, you could bet against them.
100%. You can't lose. It's actually not a bad bet to make if you were, right? Like you win, you're happy. If you lose, you're happy. So yeah.
So with Cup on the IR, what's the pivot? What if you've got Cup? You're a competing team. He's your wide receiver 1. He's been killing it. What are you trying to do before the trade deadline to deal with the loss of Cooper Kupp?
It's pretty horrific out there trying to trade him. I've got all sorts of dodgy offers in line with what I normally send people. But yeah, I think I got offered Gallup, Carter, and Isaiah Likely in one league, which wasn't too appealing for me. Just felt like I was giving an out-and-out stud for a bunch of question marks. So I've been trying to add something on and get a similar older wide receiver, maybe add something and get Diggs. I don't know what that something is. Probably got to be something substantial, but maybe that's a pivot you can make. Maybe Cup at a second, guess your Diggs. I doubt it, but if I could pull it off, I'd do that. But I just sold him in a league. Literally didn't even know until we just chat beforehand. I offered him Cup for Debo straight up, and that got accepted. So I was pretty happy there. It's a start 12 league, and the trade deadline's tomorrow. So yeah, didn't feel the best doing it, which is probably means it was an even trade. Cup's off my roster and Debo's in, even though he's been ordinary. I think he's coming back healthy. So yeah, why not? Let's wing it.
And with Cup out, could we see Allen Robinson resurgence? Could it be Allen Robinson, league winner?
No chance.
What's up? I'm up.
What's up? What's up, G?
9:23 p.m.
Look, someone's got to step up there, right? It just depends on if Stafford's going to start producing. I think I saw a stat somewhere that the Cup was responsible for 29% of their team's fantasy points. So there's a lot of vacated targets, but who gets them where they go to? Is it the tight ends? Is it the young fella Skoranek? Is that how you pronounce his name? Van Jefferson? Who knows? It's tragic as you're just a bankable asset, wasn't he, Cup? And you sort of got to pivot to a bunch of question marks, maybe an Evans or someone like that, or you just hold him and maybe buy a Thielen or something is a nice pivot you can make. What are you looking to do if you got him?
Cooper Cup?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I have him anyway.
Smart man.
Yeah, I just didn't. I sold my one share for an absolute song last year before he broke out.
Well, depends. That song could change. Could come good, right? Depends what you never know what these guys turn into.
Yeah, I've effectively turned Cooper Cup and Tyreek Hill into Jamar Gibbs. So I need Jamar Gibbs to be good.
You need him to be LaDainian Tomlinson.
I need him to be LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean,
they're both old. They're both 30. Is Hill 30 now? Like they're both old players, right? Like sounds bad when you say it like that. But
I mean, that's what it's ended up becoming. We took a roundabout way to get there. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I get emotional.
No, I think people are dumping on Luke Sawhook because fantasy receipts. I think they it's part of their KPIs that they've got to take Luke Sawhook 10 times a day because they're always getting him, and they come out and just were trying to bang on him, and he just owned it. He said, "Yeah, I stuffed up a trade, but I made another trade, and I'm like, oh, so you traded these players to get this," and it's just like sometimes you make a bad trade, but so what? You just move on, make another one, and you get Jamar Gibbs. You'll be laughing away to the bank. So just
hopefully,
right? Yeah.
You can't let fear destroy you.
Can't live in your fears. Right?
No, but the pivot. I mean, I've seen two people, you, and somebody else, get Debo. I'd probably try and add a pick and get like a Diggs and buy a couple of years. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, right? I don't know if you can get him for that. Like I said, the second and Diggs, but I don't know if I'm a Diggs owner. If that's enough.
If I was a true contender, I'd probably even do a late first.
Mr. Bull would probably want a first for Diggs in vinyl. He's got Diggs. I've got Cups. I might have to try and lowball him with a second.
Bull would probably want 3 firsts. He'd want 3 firsts on top.
3 early firsts. You want 3 early firsts.
Yeah, but I mean, wide receivers so deep. Yeah, I mean, maybe you wouldn't back yourself on the Treylon Burks breakout and try and do Cooper Cup for Treylon Burks or something like that. See if you can get Garrett Wilson and for Cooper Cup. See if he breaks out.
I'd smash Garrett Wilson all day for Cooper Cup, but I don't think you can get him because he just has had he's in a couple of those big games. So if anyone owns Garrett Wilson, they want to send it to me in vinyl worthy. That's an easy trade for me, but a bit of risk with Treylon, isn't it? So we both love him. I think he's going to be fine. But...
Well, how about Treylon Burks? No, Garrett Wilson's Dynasty trade calculator value is already more than Cooper Cup's.
Yeah. Yes. He's already had those breakout games. And I think that's just Burks has just not been healthy. So he hasn't had that chance yet to and not just health, right? Like he just not healthy and he just hasn't gelled yet. He hasn't had those flashes that Wilson's had. So I think it's just a matter of time before he has a couple of spike games. But whether he's consistent, who knows? He might never be, but his value is going to increase. I think Burks. But yeah, I
Well,
couldn't.
that's also
I couldn't do it if we're competing.
really.
Couple of Burks. I don't think so. I think I'd pivot somewhere else. I'd still try and buy Burks, regardless. But if I forgot Cup and I need someone, I'd be trying somewhere maybe a bit more consistent,
Okay.
or just holding Cup.
A lot of the time, the Traylon Burks owner isn't going to want Cooper Cup, really, right?
Nah, I doubt it. It's not straight up. You probably want something else. You give me an old 30-year-old wide receiver for my young stud that I drafted in the first round. It's not good process, right? So,
not really. Ertz is on the IR. Trey McBride is going to be the guy. How you feeling about Trey McBride? Is he somebody you'd be trying to acquire on the cheap?
I think that horse is bolted, right? I think you probably
Really?
I think so, a little bit. Yeah, I think most people are just have a pretty high on him coming out. You went reasonably early, right, towards the end of the first, start of the second, depending on your league. I think most leagues, and now looks like he's the guy, whether he is or not. Maybe not. But maybe he just takes a game or two to gel, and you can buy him cheap. I don't know what Ertz's cap hits like next year, but yeah, I think he, it's wheels up for him. You don't have to do much to be a tight end one this day and age. So
yeah, but rookie tight ends don't do much.
Yeah, they typically don't, right? But I just think he's just because Ertz is out, he's the next guy up. That people are just going to expect him to produce. So they're not going to give a discount. But yeah, if he does have a couple of quiet games where he just, for whatever reason, it's a bad matchup, or he's just, it just happens game script, right? And maybe that's your chance to pounce. What, are you a McBride fan?
What would you pay for him? You probably got to give a second, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Second, I think you can't give it first. And he went for a second last year, so if you give it a 23 second, I think that's fair enough. But yeah, a little bit of risk there, isn't there? Like I'm not sure. You probably want to see what Ertz is. They bring Ertz back next year, then it's going to be another year for McBride, isn't it? Before he produces, because he's been good. Ertz has been good. Been solid all year.
Yeah. I mean, look, McBride, big, fast, was productive in college, so it'll be interesting to see if he steps up. Righty, and next on the list, the Arizona Cardinals cut Eno Benjamin. So is it Keontae Ingram season?
I think it is. I think I got a couple of shares liked him coming out. Looks good on the highlight reels. So he'll get an opportunity, right? Maybe you can buy Keontae cheap, but again, I think the people that got him like him. So now that he's going to start, they probably hold him. I think, or they want a decent pick for him. And how much work's he going to get with Connor there? Connor looked pretty good, at least this year. Maybe next year it's Keontae, but
look, you can't trust that it's going to be a 6th round pick here any year. I mean, they could draft. They'll probably draft another running back this year.
Yeah, they could bring someone in. Who knows, right? So yeah, he'll get a chance, right? He might be flex worthy, maybe. Look good. He looked good on tape, but we just don't know.
Dallas got it on the IR. He was having a pretty good year. I think he was tight end 3 on the season or something close to that, and now he's hurt. Probably, I mean, he's going to miss the minimum 4 games, and who knows? I mean, the Eagles can be careful with him, right? Because they've,
well,
they're in a good spot in the standings.
Yeah, they're probably going to get their first week bye, so you think he might come back second week of the playoffs, which hopefully could be a league winner, but yeah, no one wants to see it. But it was so ugly. I don't know if you've tried to buy a tight end anywhere, but you can't buy anyone. There's no one to buy. It's Kelsey, which he's too old, and maybe Hock and
But he's still
Ingram,
he's still
maybe,
so productive, Kelsey, though.
He's still so productive. Yeah, I just picked him up, but didn't feel good buying him. But he is so productive. But apart from that, like I was looking for someone before I bought Kelsey, and I was like, maybe Robert Tonyan, and then you look at his, 5 points, 6 points, 9 points, touchdown, 12 points. How about Logan Thomas? He scored like 30 points in the year. I know he's been banged up, but Waddle's on IR. Hunter Henry is just a ghost. It's just ugly at the tight end. Cole Kmet, finally he's broken out, but he's banged up. But he's going to cost you a fortune right after those 2 20-point games. So yeah, it was really tough. I was trying to got it in a couple of spots because he was just so dependable. It seemed to have a pretty good floor. I don't know how high his ceiling was in that offense. Where they don't throw it so much, but Hurts sort of was targeting him. So at least he was possible to come back towards the end of the year.
Would you trade? So if you weren't contending, would you trade TJ Hawkinson for Dallas Goedert?
If I wasn't contending and I had...
You had Hawk? Someone sends you Dallas Goedert for Hawk.
I'm big on Hawk. I've still got Hawk ahead of him. It's probably a decent trade. You whack at the calculator, it might be decent, but I really like Hawk. So I probably want something more, to be honest, right? Because Goedert's out.
Yeah.
For at least 4 games. So it's not a terrible trade, right? But I think I'd want something back. Especially with Hawkinson playing so good too, right?
Yeah,
great.
Dallas right now has a high trade calculator value by probably something like a mid-second. With him being hurt, you'd probably say that mid-second belongs on the other side, right?
That's what I was thinking. I'd want a second back. I think if at like the ceiling for Hawkinson it could be anything, right? In that offense,
Hawkinson's 2 years. I don't know. A guy just the other day told me that Hawkinson's probably at his ceiling.
value wise,
that's what he told me.
Huh? Well, I think value wise, he probably is at his ceiling. He's always has such high value. He's even when he was not producing, he had such high value.
But as I said back to this person, Hawkinson, he's an outside chance to hit 1,000 yards now. He would have done that before Travis at his age 25 season. Travis Kelce didn't do it to his age 27 season. And Travis Kelce's value right now is it's still like almost 40, a 40 in tight end premium.
38 points, something, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, look, Hawk
and then once these tight ends do it, once these tight ends do it, they tend to keep doing it for a while.
Could do it for the next 10 years, right? If he stays there, which just depends on the contract. I'm sure they're gonna try and keep him. I'm not sure what the cap space is like. This Kirk Cousins bucket full of money, but I think he's looked well, and the caps in the NFL is a bit imaginary. So he could be Kelsey for the next 10 years, or Kelsey light maybe. Kelsey's pretty phenomenal, so maybe he's Kelsey Junior, but he could produce for the next 10 years.
In one league where I just lost Goddard, I offered, and then I revoked it later on. I offered DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert for Nick Chubb and Travis Kelce.
You offered Swift and Goddard for Chubb and Kelce.
Yeah.
Consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in that league it's a good pivot, even though you're losing value. Probably right. Probably to calculate. I don't know, but off the top of my head, you're probably losing value. But that league is like the cream of the crop, right? It's only the top 4 in each, not even each division, each league. So there's like 3 separate leagues, multi-copy league. So it's actually only the top 3, and then points 4, right? Make it. So you've got to be really good even to make the playoffs.
And in that league's got a payout for finishing top of the standings. I am in your division, and I am currently top of the standings.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
The Swift's hard with Swift because he's still like Hawkinson, right? He's got so much value, but he's just always injured. So I'm sure he can regain some of that value back this year. But yeah, if you're trying to win that league, I don't mind that. Kelsey could be the tight end one for another couple of years. Wouldn't surprise me. And Chubb. If you look at the running back yards leaders this year, they're all old. It's Barkley, Henry, Chubb, Josh Jacobs. There's none of the young guys. Even Taylor's not there. So as much as we hate these tight ends, these running backs as they get older, this year's a bit of an anomaly, hasn't it, with these older guys coming back and CMC looking sensational.
Yeah.
So you want to win. You lose value sometimes, I guess. You lose value.
That is why we're here, to win.
But if you want to lose value in that league, I'm here for you. So.
Oh, I've got to set you something, but I don't know who's winning. I don't think I like it. I'm trying to see.
That sounds dodgy, people, doesn't it? It sounds like I got a doormat. Sounds like I got a doormat trade in my inbox. One of those doormat specials.
On this trade, on the Dynasty trade calculator, you're actually winning the trade.
Oof. You got me intrigued.
Actually winning the trade on the Dynasty trade calculator. Worried about C-Mac. Good morning, Nino.
I'll tell you who's not worried, Nino. He's never worried.
He's never worried.
He's
just got college football on the brain. Look, I'm not really worried about C-Mac because I still think he's going to get even if Mitchell gets 15 touches, I still think C-Mac's going to get his 15 touches and several receptions a game. So I'm not really concerned about him.
I guess it's just a bit of a drop off from that first week, right? It was just such a sensational week. He looked so good in that uniform too, and then just came back down to earth. But we've seen it with everyone, right? JT even last year, some weeks Naheem Hines was pinching carries off him and goal line carries and whatnot. Probably takes the polish off a little bit, but he's still a league winner and he's still got a good floor and he's new, right, to that offense. So Mitchell's been there a little bit longer, knows the playbook a little bit better, and he's just as injury prone as C-Mac, or probably more so, right? So it could be CMC could be back to the only RB in the building any week, so not too worried about him at all.
True.
Not worried.
Win now players to buy: Jeff Wilson, Jamal Williams. I mean, those two guys who are having really good seasons. I think they're both on track for about 1,100 yards rushing and a few catches. Probably they've been solid, mid back end RB2s all year. But how much do you really want to pay for those guys?
Yeah, you can't pay a second. I think I don't know if the third's enough to get Jamal Williams. Maybe it's 2/3, or you give your late second, get an early third back, so you're only moving a few spots back. Maybe that's the move, but yeah, I don't want to give a second or for either. Definitely not for Jeff Wilson. Definitely not for Jamal Williams. But you've got the potential to be league winners, right? I think Wilson's had a couple of big weeks or a big week. Jamal Williams has just been solid. He's just always getting those goal line carries. So even if Swift is back to being himself, Williams is still going to have a good floor for you.
Look, if I'm top of the standings, I would send a second. If I had faith that it'd be late, I'd probably send a second. but I'd shop that second around to see what and try and get the best player for it I could.
Yeah, I think you can get someone maybe a little bit more value. So yeah, that's good advice.
I think you could get somebody who's a bit sexier, like, and you might feel is a bit more of a long-term piece. But are you really going to get anybody with that second who's producing more than those guys right now? I don't think you're going to get as much production.
Yeah, so that's a good call. I was thinking maybe you get a Cooks or someone, Brendan Cooks, who's probably valued in the calculator as second, but he's not producing right now as these two are. Right, he could get back to it, but at the minute he's not. So yeah, I guess if it's definitely if you're a contender, again you got to lose value to win, right? So maybe this is one of those ones where you lose that value and take the chip.
Definitely. Sometimes that's what you've got to do. And I wish Ben Campbell would respond to my trades because the trade deadline ends tomorrow. Come on, mate. Get on with it. Can send a counter. Christian Watson, he had a massive performance. Are you buying Christian Watson? Christian Watson or George Pickens?
Still want Pickens. Still want Pickens. But it's close. It's close enough, really. Yeah, it's close enough. I think we both have spoken many times that we were never big Dobbs fans. We always thought Christian Watson was going to be the wide receiver there, and after that game, he dropped those first two passes. The second one, pass from the catch. And he just had flashbacks to that first game where he dropped that open wide touchdown, but then Rodgers just kept going to him and it clicked. So it could be start of something very beautiful. I doubt it. It's probably going to be up and down all year, but it was absolutely sensational to see it. And what's more, they got a victory too, right? So how can you not love that? Unless you coach.
Unless you coach.
Sorry, coach.
Because the Cowboys lost.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I think that they are going to really try and structure that game around Christian Watson, the passing game. They start to target him. I heard on another podcast, oh God, I want to be able to credit it and say, I think it was the Athletic Football Podcast actually, where they had actually been trying to target Christian Watson the previous 2 weeks, but then he got hurt. And that had been the game plan the previous 2 weeks. But yeah, the injuries. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I watch all the Packers games every week, because I do not, because that would be a lie. But if somebody smarter than me on the Athletic Football Show said that, then it's probably true.
Yeah, look, I think like I said, we both said on this pod that we, draft capital and just the talent. We like Watson more, and he's got his chance. He's healthy, and Rodgers has kept throwing the ball. So that's what the Athletics saying. That sometimes 1-on-1 makes 2, right? Let's hope it is.
Yeah, Watson was taken just outside the first round. So I think he was 34th overall. So he's almost a first round pick.
They moved up to get him to. I think they moved up, right? Yeah. They moved up.
Yeah, I mean they essentially spent first round draft capital, right?
Yep, which they never do. So for a club that's famous for not drafting wide receivers, they put a bit in there to keep Rodgers happy. Are you paying a first to get him? Because you can't get him for a second, right? You got to give a first to get him.
No, I'm not going to pay a 23 first for Christian Watson.
Not after one game, right?
No.
He does it 2 or 3 games. You can still get him for that first, I reckon. Not that I would, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to pay a 23 first.
Yeah.
No. Not even the 1.12.
Fair enough. I think that's fair enough. Yeah, no, I think I couldn't either. No. He's just got to be hot and cold. Maybe let's come back to it in 4 weeks and see what you think. But it has to be pretty phenomenal. It has to be pretty solid to go that high.
Yeah. The DTC calculator has his age wrong. It has him as 21 when he's 23.
Strange.
I don't normally say, pardon? I don't normally make mistakes like that. Yeah. What tight ends are you buying?
Just Kelsey. I think Kelsey's the only one you can buy. Maybe Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's sneakily good. I think he's a bit of a value. Don't know what his overall ranking is for the year, but yeah, I think he might be a pivot if you don't want to sell your first to get Kelsey because you're probably going to have to. I think Ingram's a nice, solid pivot. What about yourself, mate? Who are you targeting?
Look, it would be Njoku if I knew he was coming back.
So Ingram's tight end 11 on the year. Superflex tight end premium, tight end 11. Had a couple of down games, but still, he's a tight end 1 and not going to have to give much to give him. To get him, I like the Njoku call because ceiling could be pretty high with Watson, but there's just not many. It's just like I was saying before. It's just ugly, right? Tyler Conklin's hot and cold, and Hayden Hurst.
Would you try to buy George Kittle? He hasn't had a huge year. He might be obtainable.
Yeah, possibly. That's a nice pivot. You just always got the injury risk with Kittle, haven't you? You just don't know if he's going to stay on the field or whatnot. But that's a nice pivot. Cole Pitts maybe. Probably not if you win now.
Not too hard to buy, right?
Yeah, that. I'll just buy Cole Pitts later when he doesn't produce. That's a fallacy because I haven't. Yeah, maybe some weaker owners have sold him cheaper, but most Cole Pitts owners are still holding on for those 3 first to sell him.
No, I wouldn't pay more than. I offered a top 5 first and a pick that it'll either be the 201 or the 202.
Yeah, I'd still hold Pitts for me.
Yeah.
Depends when you're on the board.
How about Hayden Hurst as a sneaky buy?
Yeah, Hayden Hurst, I don't mind, especially with Chase out. I think that's not a bad buy. We did 9 the season with a buy in there. Got a pretty solid floor, I think. So he might have a couple of touchdown heavier weeks. I think Uzoma had a couple of spike weeks when he was there, and Hurst is probably an upgrade on Uzoma, right? So yeah, maybe there's a couple. You got Everett and the other tight end from the Rams, so maybe they're okay, but yeah, it's generally not good.
I'd still be trying to want to buy Njoku with Deshaun Watson coming back. I mean, I know he's been hurt for weeks now, but it really looked like that breakout was coming.
I think he's been a little good target of Brissett's, right? But he could be an absolute monster in the red zone with Watson.
Yeah,
I think he's going to light up the league when he comes back. Watson, I think he's might struggle for a game or two, blow off the rust, but I think he'll be on fire. He's just such a sensational talent. So yeah, might be a way to get that offense cheaply.
Will be interesting to see how he goes. And trade deadlines. How do we feel about trade deadlines? Yeah, I mean, I'm in leagues without them, and I'm in leagues that do have them. I kind of like I like not having them because I feel it forces movement, and when it gets to that week 12, 13, 14, if a contender gets an injury, and they still want to go for him, it really puts the guys who are out of it in a position to expedite their rebuild, which I like.
Yeah, well, I think I'm the same as you. if I've got there's a trade deadline, I'm not lobbying to remove it, but I prefer not to have it. Like, they are what they are. I'm not going to whinge if there is one, but yeah, if you have a a QB that's on a bye on week 14, and someone else goes an IR, you can forget about it. There's you might have had the perfect draft, perfect season, and you can't. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Unless you've got 3 QBs, and even then you still got to be down to one. So yeah, I think you just try and take that luck out of it where you can, right? So if you've got Mahomes injured or something, maybe you can. That's also a way that you will sell Mahomes, right? Like, normally you're probably not going to sell him, but maybe you'll pivot and get something back. And yeah, you're just sort of punching everyone, I think, in the no trade deadline leagues, because some of these these guys that aren't competing, what are they going to? Nothing for them to do for the rest of the year, is there? So yeah.
Ah, a lot of these guys have their trade deadline around week 10 or week 11, and there's still 6 or 7 weeks to go in the fantasy season. That's no fun.
Yeah, I think you can get comfortable, right? If you have that trade deadline at week 11, you can sort of think, oh yeah, sweet, I don't have to make any more moves now. But it just does punish the guys that do like the trade, or the teams that are trying to rebuild. So prefer not to have them if we could, but they are what they are, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to. They were probably a bit more frustrating the last 2 years with COVID and stuff like that, not having the trade deadlines.
Yeah.
COVID it's really frustrating if you've. Pardon?
No, I was saying COVID ruined everything, didn't it? It was just all over the shop.
I mean, it's really, really frustrating when you've got a competing team and then you lose a big piece, and you've got the assets to buy a piece and you want to buy a piece, but you can't.
Yeah, and it's probably just as frustrating too if maybe you thought you were going to win and you've got Brady on your bench and you were happy to ship him off for a second or whatever, and maybe the contender's desperate and might even give something more than that. It just punishes both sides there. If people want to go out and try and buy a title, go for it. Like, do what you want to do. There's nothing to stop someone doing that in week 9 as opposed to week 10, right? Like,
you do you.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of the podcast.
Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Trades. Take us through the trades you made, Matt, this week. I have made no trades.
Yeah, put a few out there just before the pod, actually, and both got accepted. So one got counted, actually. So I think I offered a first and a second for Kelsey and Carter, and the counter was all my picks for Kelsey. There were 24 picks, so it was like first, second, third, fourth, fifth for Kelsey. I think I've scored the most points in that league, and I'm just ahead of you in wins and losses. I think I'm one win ahead of you, or close enough. So it should be a late sweep of firsts, but who knows in 2 years' time. But I think it's going to be late-ish. And my tight end was Hunter Henry. That was it. So yeah, because there is a trade deadline in this league, I didn't want to get stuck with Hunter Henry.
Spurred you into action.
It did spur me into action. I mean, trying to buy, got it for a little while now and just couldn't get it done, and he got injured, which was a bit of a blessing in disguise that I didn't buy him, because I doubt I could get Kelsey now if I had got it. So it's just luck sometimes, isn't it?
What did you offer for Goddard?
Yeah. I feel like it was a first. It could have been a second or third. I feel like it was a first, but I probably would have given a first if it was counter, but I didn't get a counter. No, on me, it could have been a second or third. But yeah, I couldn't get it. I think I had a couple of offers out there and just.
A second or third for Goddard. Jesus.
It could have been a first. I can't remember. But I honestly can't remember whatever it was. But I was trying to buy him. Didn't get a counter, and I think I was going to offer a first, and he got injured. So yeah, it was just just a blessing in disguise. And like I said, it's just can be luck sometimes. So got Kelsey and could fall off a cliff next year, but I doubt it. I think he's in a great offense, obviously captain obvious there, and you're trying to win. So that was pretty good. And the other one was Cup for Debo in the same league. So I gave Cooper Cup, got Debo back. I get a little bit younger, and I think Debo's going to have those spike weeks. So this league, you have to start 12 players, which is why I wanted that little bit of depth. So yeah, it's one of those trades where you sort of lose a bit of value, but you're not. It's not like I'm selling Jamar Chase for Stephon Diggs, right? I'm selling an older wide receiver for a younger wide receiver with probably not as much upside as Cup. He was just sensational, but I need those. We got to start 12, so I need those points. So yeah, it was accepted straight away. Didn't even know that it was accepted. I just saw the Kelsey trade come through. Like, sweet, and then
I'm looking in Sackmania, and guess who has Cooper Cup? Babes
Not
of
me.
Bash.
Not me.
Sitting near the top of the standings. And AJ.
I think it's AJ, isn't it? Babes of Bash. I know it's not me because I've got all the quarterbacks in that league.
We're up late. We're up late. We're not up early. It's past my bedtime. Getting old. And he's lost Darren Waller as well. I feel like I need to exploit this situation.
It's not like you. It's not like you.
Going to offer Cooper Cup. And I'm going to try and get Darren Waller. And I will send Gabe Davis. And Mike Gesicki. He's competing big time here.
Gesicki and Davis for Cup and Waller. Jeez.
What?
Wow. That's a doormat trade, that is.
Hey, man. This guy's trying to win this thing.
I can better that, AJ. Step into my office.
Well, maybe I can up Gesicki to Juwan Johnson. I like Juwan Johnson.
I don't think he's up on Gesicki. He probably is on points for the season, but value, I don't think he is. But he's lost Stafford too as well. Stafford's probably back.
Waller's value's probably tanked.
It's hard to have value when you're not in the field, right?
Oh, no. That is a terrible trade offer by me. That's way unders. That feels dirty. Yeah.
So you should.
But honestly,
shame.
I don't know what I would really, yeah.
It's not terrible, but yeah, I think value sometimes can be depends on the eye of the beer holder, really, doesn't it? How desperate you are, and if there's even a trade deadline in this league. I don't know if there is or not.
I offered Gabe Davis for Najee Harris as well.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I've got to try.
Good try, mate.
You know.
You got to put it out there.
Harris has been bad, man.
I'll pay more, AJ. He's been pretty ordinary, hasn't he? I think he'll bounce back next year. I think he's been banged up this year, but he's sneaky old as well, right? So
yeah. He'll be 25 going into next year. 20? He'll turn 25 in March.
Yeah, right.
Talking about 25-year-olds like they're over the hill, it's depressing.
Next, 25. We don't want to know you, especially if you're running back, right?
You never know what a guy will do to win a title. That's very true.
It's true.
That's sage advice.
They were saying values in the eye of the beer holder, right? Depends on how many beers you've had. And I think he's a true contender. So, give it a shot.
Oh, wait. I included Najee Harris in that deal. That's terrible, man. Oh, I'm a bad person.
What are you doing?
Trades. Just let me run back this one. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You got a little insight. I
Well,
wasn't trading with baddie people. This is what happens. This is the offers you get.
Please, I normally
I've never seen
send
a bad offer in
Russell
my life.
offers.
I've never seen a
You
bad
know.
offer in my life, but
And like somebody like Christian Kirk, he's been really productive. I think that's kind of a fair pivot for Cooper Cup, don't you reckon?
I don't know. As a cup owner, you still want that stud.
You traded
probably- it's
him for
probably fair.
Debo, and
It's
he's
probably
been
fair.
way more productive than Debo this year.
Yeah, I think just Debo's got that name brand. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, he's got that shine, that studly shine. So it's probably fair enough, Kirk, but I don't know if it's enough to get him. AJ's pretty smart cookie though, so he'll probably accept the Kirk for Cup.
I'd rather keep Kirk. Cup's old, man. He's 30. He's over.
Well, what are you talking about Kirk for then?
Yeah.
I think you want to send it.
I'm going to try to send Gabe Davis first. I don't like I like Kirk more than Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I'd have Kirk ahead of Gabe Davis, but there are some Gabe Davis truthers. So if AJ's
Some people love Gabe Davis, man. Some people think he is. Yeah, they love Gabe Davis
more than their firstborn child. Love Gabe Davis. So yeah, hopefully AJ's a Gabe Davis truther. How many times can we say Gabe Davis in the pod?
Lots. Anyway, before we go, just remember the Tours Titles Patreon, guys. Tier 1 is $3 per month. That gets you in the T2T team group chat. Tier 2 is $5 per month. That gets you early access to the waiver wire episodes and entry into our Frankenstein Listener League. You've still got to pay, but it assures you your entry. And also, obviously, the group chat. Tier 3 is everything that I've just said, plus one-on-one draft advice. Tier 4 is everything I've said, plus early access to our it's our waiver wire episode, our Patreon only episode, where you get advice on players to buy and players to sell throughout the season in both redraft and dynasty. This will also get you free entry into the Listener League and one-on-one roster analysis, as well as the draft advice. And then Tier 5 is everything that I mentioned in Tier 4. But then the guys will also do a show just based on your league, breaking down your whole entire league.
We'll come wash your car, clean your
cool,
house, make a lunch for you, do whatever, mow your grass.
Give you a cuddle.
One-stop shop.
Yep. One-stop fantasy football shop. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say. Did you have anything you want to add?
That's it, mate. Bring on week 11. I think snow season's upon us. I think tomorrow's a cold game, right? Green Bay, wherever they're playing, it's forecast to snow. So it'll be interesting to see how these offenses change and what happens with some of these teams that are maybe not used to playing outside in bad weather. But yeah, it's going to be pretty to watch. Maybe not from a pure football side of things, but I just love watching the snow. NFL something special. About it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the snow makes me feel cold.
Ew, David.
No, look, I like the snow. Snow's nice. It's pretty.
They're pretty.
Yeah. Just see Doormat dancing in the snow.
When the snow angels.
He can. I'm sure that's probably related to something that we were saying, but
Patreon.
Yeah. Justin will fold your laundry. Okay.
Fold your laundry. Probably tutor your kid too, right? As a teacher, so give you some tutoring as well.
Yeah.
Coach will give you some Disney tips. I'll come and do a slab for you.
Cook
Then
some
give you a good
dinner.
deal on energy. We do it all.
Everything, mate. Everything. All right. Is there no other final tips or tricks? It's over.
Have fun. Make some trades. Have some fun.
Okay, I have some trades. The fantasy season is upon us. It's winding down. We're right in the midst of it. It's winding down. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. And keep building those fantasy football teams.